Okay, the camera's on, the time is 2:59.
And I'll get you sworn in if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
And would you tell the judge your name?
Christopher Kaselemis?
And you've previously been deposed in this case and testified, have you not?
Yes, I have.
And you understand that you're under oath now, just in the same manner that you would be under oath in court?
I do.
Let me show you, this is Exhibit 1, which is like an organizational chart, I think, of the city manager's office. Are you on that chart, your department?
Yes, I am.
Where are you?
I'm right here, Economic Initiatives.
Okay. And the economic initiatives is, this is one of the departments that is directly under the city manager.
Correct.
So you report directly to him,
To her at this point.
her at this point.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
And and was that true with regard to the Grand Canyon University El Rio study project?
Yes, as I've testified before, I report directly to Richard Maranda.
Okay. What of the employees that were in your economic initiative section? We had a deposition of Camilla Becat. Andrew Squire, did he work on this project?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Well, the only person that worked on it was mostly me and Camila. And then there were some things that I had Mr. Squire and Mr. Tchaikovsky do that were ancillary to the project. They helped put some maps together. When Grand Canyon came down to do a tour, I had Andy help coordinate the tour. But that's about the extent of their involvement.
Okay. What was Maricela Solis' involvement?
She was the chief of staff to the mayor's office, so she reported to the mayor. And she was, I'd say, the mayor's point of contact for this project.
And what kind of issues would the mayor's office be involved with in this project?
Just letting them know what was going on with the project. She was the information person, I guess.
And was that a regular event as the project was developing to keep them informed of the progress?
We met with Maricela, informed her maybe 2 times. She was part of that tour that Grand Canyon came down, so she was involved in touring of the site.
Incidentally, did you keep a electronic calendar?
We have, the city has, I think as you know, the group-wise calendar. We maintain the group-wise calendar as part of our system.
Okay.
Group-wise is our email system, and it also keeps a calendar for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So within that system then, do you keep your personal calendar as part of that system?
My work calendar is on that system, correct?
Right.
Yep.
And and has anyone ever requested your calendar?
As part of the information search for
Yes.
this? I don't recall.
Yeah. Do you recall if Dennis McLaughlin has asked you whether you kept a calendar or for a copy of the calendar?
I don't recall that.
Is that something that would be available to him as a matter of course if he wanted to get it?
Yes, it does drop off after, you can't go back. Like you couldn't get it today for this time period, but it's up for, I'm not sure how far back you can go, but it's available.
Kelly Gotcha,
Yes?
what was her involvement with this project?
She's the city's chief financial officer and also the assistant city manager. And she was involved in a meeting when we talked about financial aspects of the golf course. terms of the value of it and items like that.
Yeah. Did she have involvement with discussions about offer price for El Rio?
She was involved in those discussions, yes, some of them.
There were various provisions in the offer of percentages, payments, a lot of details. Was she consulted concerning those items?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. And how would she have been consulted?
Through a meeting, a personal meeting.
And there have been, I take it, numerous of those?
I wouldn't say numerous. I can recall maybe 2, maybe 3 meetings that she was involved in.
Okay. Were they at her office? Or?
I think we had one meeting down in the city attorney's office, and she was involved in that. The day that we transmitted the offer letter, because I think that's what you're calling it, to Grand Canyon, she was in the office there when we were on the telephone with them. And there may be one other time.
What? Tell me about, you were on the telephone with Grand Canyon?
Correct.
Yeah. And what was going on with that phone conference?
That, I think we explained this before, but that's where we submitted an offer letter to them. Call it, I think you're calling it an offer letter. It was a letter that for consideration about the property. And we called them to say, we're sending this over, here's what it is, and kind of read through that with them.
Okay. I recall one of the letters actually said the city is offering.
Okay.
Did
I don't remember, I'm sure you have a copy of it, I don't know the exact language.
And what was Nicole Ewing-Gavin's role?
She was an assistant to the city manager. So she had minimal involvement. She was in on that phone call and that transmittal letter to Grand Canyon. She was in that meeting. I believe that's when Kelly was at also.
Okay. And what was she doing in that meeting? What was her role?
She was, as an assistant to the city manager, her job was to provide advice and chime in when appropriate, so she just gave her opinion on certain items.
Was Jonathan Rothschild involved in any of those meetings?
No.
The Kelly Gottschalk was involved with the First Tee program, wasn't she? And
That's it, right. Kelly and I went to visit the First Tee folks up at the golf tournament up at Dove Mountain. The two of us went up there to talk to those folks.
and
She may have made a phone call to them also.
in addition to talking to them, did anyone analyze the contract with First Tee and sort of get deeper into the situation?
Yes, the First Tee contract, somebody did review that. I'm trying to remember who did review that. But there was a review of that contract.
Yeah, and would that have been someone involved with your staff working with you?
That may have been Kelly, but I'm not positive.
There was a calculation of a potential cost of $350,000 that would need to be paid to First Tee. Do you know how that came about and who did that calculation?
I'm in trouble remembering. I don't remember the $350,000 offer to them. The conversation we had with First Tee was they were interested in continuing the relationship with the city. We explained to them that if for some reason the El Rio site were to go away, we'd want to actually, I think their contract had another year left, and they said they were interested in continuing to work with the city. We said we were interested in their program. We talked about when we do a new contract, actually expanding their program to more golf courses, not just keeping them at one golf course. So having them at Randolph and whatever the other 4 golf courses are. So actually expanding their program because we valued it so much. So they were interested in that conversation.
Yeah,
I remember talking dollars with them at all. I do not remember recall that.
Yeah, I don't course, know if you talked all with them, but I saw a document that talked about a potential 350,000, and it was related to you and Kelly, so I thought you might know about that.
There was, now, there was something about, and I do remember a dollar figure, they had put some fixes in the golf course. They had upgraded I can't remember exactly, they had put some dollars towards irrigation infrastructure. And if we were to break a contract with them, a payout amount would be, maybe that's where the 350 came from, it would be X amount for a payout figure. If they came to that, we were not interested in doing that, and they were not interested in breaking our contract, but if that was something that I think we did calculate, if that came to that. Yep.
There was when I looked over your deposition, some question about when you were on vacation during May. Do you know what period you took a vacation?
I can't recall the dates.
Okay. All right, let me show you.
I think we started with 16.
No, this is 18. I think these slips, if I've got this right, are from payroll, and the one that's on top, I wanna understand this. Does that indicate that you were not at the office on May 17th?
Let's see. Let's see the code. There's another part of the card here that seems to be missing. But looks like 40 hours, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that would be 5 days. Looks like that was the entire week, which would be 5 days. So that would mean I would be off on the 17th. So that's including, yeah, right, so it's starting on the 13th to include the 17th.
Okay.
Did I read that?
We took a deposition earlier this week of Camilla Beacon, and she said that she had received direction from you, perhaps by text, to get some material from her file, print out some stuff, and give it to Dennis McLaughlin. Do you have recollection of that occurring?
I don't recall a text to her. I did get a phone call, I believe, from her. I think when the freedom or the information request came, that's when I was out of town. And I believe she went on my computer and copied the hard drive for Mr. McLaughlin to give to you guys.
Okay. And did you talk with her or email with her to ask her to do that, or is that something she independently
I think
did?
she may have asked, well, I'm just trying to remember if she asked for my password. I know she's the one who went into my computer and copied the hard drive. I can't remember if I had to give her my password or she already had my password, but that would have probably been the only conversation. She did inform me that they were getting all the information from Grand Canyon, we're copying the hard drive.
And by copying the hard drive, what's your understanding of what would have been copied?
I don't know if it's a hard drive. I'm not a very technical person, as you recall from previous depositions. It was, I think it was the shared drive, anything I had, everything I kept, and I said this in the previous deposition, everything I have is on the S drive, which is our shared drive. I don't actually keep anything on my C drive, my computer. So everything is in the shared drive, which is open to everybody in the city manager's office. So she copied that, anything related to Grand Canyon. Or she made a copy for Mr. McLaughlin.
And I think she told us that she put it on a thumb drive. Were you aware of that?
I would imagine that's how she did it. She didn't tell me how she did it, but I think that's how you do those things.
She talked about your email inbox. Let me ask you, what kind of email do you use?
It's the group-wise system.
Okay. I know less than you do. So,
It's a very unique system. No other
with-
city uses GroupWise.
Okay.
Everybody else uses Outlook.
with the GroupWise system, she spoke of your inbox.
Okay?
And does that system also have a scent,
Yes, it does.
and it has a trash?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So what's kept in your practice in your inbox?
What's all my emails that come in to me?
Okay. So, for project study, would your inbox have had in it all of the emails that you had received from the beginning of the project?
It would, well, I wouldn't have deleted any of them. I only delete stuff that doesn't relate to work. I don't delete any other emails. So everything from, and I think the time period is 90 days, however far they go back. If you'd have done a search, you would have gotten every email from as far back as our system goes before it drops things off. You would get all those emails, correct? All my inbox emails. Does that make sense? So if you go back 6 months from now, you're not gonna find any emails. I think it's only a 3-month system, so you could go back 3 months from today and get all my emails. And you could even get the trash ones, because it's under trash, it saves those also.
Okay. We had looked at this exhibit 2, I'll show you, in this case, which is relates to a public records request that Josh Verdesky, on behalf of the Arizona Republic, sent. And you were copied with that in, what date?
February 20th, 2013?
Right. And so, he was asking for emails and other materials related to,
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And, you also, let me show you, Exhibit 3, which was,
I see that first.
an email from, I believe, Dennis McLaughlin.
Yes, it's from Dennis, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, what was Mike Graham's relationship to?
He was his working title was a public information officer.
Okay, and that, with that, and Lane Mandel.
She worked for Michael in the similar capacity, doing public relations.
Okay, so then McLaughlin's email came to you sequentially after the email from Lane.
Yeah, it looks like this one.
Lane
actually.
Mandel, right?
It looks like it came a few minutes before this one. 2:09 and 2. Am I reading that wrong? No, you're right. No, you're right.
It looks like 12:39
Right.
PM.
Yeah, a couple hours after, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And McLaughlin is sending it to you, and then 2 public information officers also, and the mayor's assistant. That's what Marcelo's
Chief of staff at the time. Yep.
Okay. And your job then would be to see that your department accumulates these records that were pursuant to the request. Would that be correct?
So, let me read here. Let's see if we use notification. I don't believe I actually did anything with this.
Were you supposed to have done something with it?
I think, no, I don't remember the sequence of events, but this come after your request? Did
No. Cecilia Cruz's request was on the 13th of May.
Okay, after this.
So this was,
This is in February.
yeah, 3 months, not quite 3 months before.
So, I mean, I would have coordinated with Dennis. He may have come down to my office to talk to me about it. I don't recall. I don't know for which request he came down and got information from us. I didn't put anything together for him. He came down and met with me, I believe.
You're in, what was, you know, I talked about what you referred to as economic initiatives. What was your department's name, the name that you normally used? Did you use economic initiatives or?
Yes. I'm in the city manager's office, economic initiatives.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's a department?
It's not a department, it's like a program.
Okay.
It's not, well, I'm a program director. So departments are outside the city manager's office. So it's more of an office at the city manager's office. It's like an office.
It's the same. Is it the same?
When Cecilia Cruz's request came in, the let me show you exhibit exhibit 4. This is dated in exhibit 4/5/16, but looking at page 3 of that 4-page exhibit is a letter dated May 13th, and it's to Ms. Cruz, and it said, "We've received your request, and the city clerk's office is not the custodian. We forward your request to the Economic Development Department and the city attorney's office."
Okay, he's referring to my office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were referring to yours as the Economic Development
It's
Department.
not accurate, but he's referring to my office.
Okay. And and this would have been, was received in your office on that day?
I'm not sure. Well, I would have gotten that most likely. I don't remember getting it, but I'm sure I did.
Okay. It actually, you know, it says it's attached, and I think this email indicates you got it that day.
Okay.
So when that comes in, let me show you what's marked as Exhibit 19. I think you have a copy. You're familiar with this administrative directory, are you not?
I can't, not off the top of my head, I'm not.
Well, what's the function of administrative directories?
They're city policy. So I know of it, but I can't recall 7 pages of specific policy language, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I guess what, number down.
Yeah, it's 19.
19.
There should be 20.
Okay, yes. Okay. The,
I mean, at the time, public records requests were handled by the city attorney's office, so Dennis handled that on our behalf. If that's what you're getting at.
What now?
At the time this was going on, the city attorney's office handled public records requests, and Dennis did that on behalf of the attorney's office for the Grand Canyon. So he was the one coordinating all the public records requests information.
Okay. So the administrative directive that says each city department and office is responsible for maintaining information in accordance with state law and city administrative directives.
Mm-hmm.
So that would apply to your department, would it not?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Using the term department loosely.
Yes.
well, would you be a city office, if we could say?
I think it's been used before loosely, because Roger Randolph used it in his language. Just acknowledge it's used loosely.
Okay. So, did anyone tell you that this administrative directory would not apply to you?
No?
Okay. And administrative, let me show you that, number 20 of that mark, which is, would you agree that this property's exhibit 20 properly sets out that administrative directives are the management policies and procedures of the city of Tucson?
Yes, that's true.
And that department directors are to ensure that their operations are conducted in accordance with the administrative directives?
Correct.
Okay.
And just, I'm not sure, in the context of that administrative directive, he would be a department director. That's more precise use of the term.
Okay. One of the things that a custodian of records is supposed to do at some point is to make a legal hold on documents when they've been requested or part of litigation. Is that yes?
Are you asking a question?
Yeah.
What's
My
the question?
is it one of the requirements, according to the administrative directory rules of the city of Tucson, that legal holds be placed on documents so that they don't disappear when there's litigation or a request for them?
What's the relevance of that, since there's no litigation hold or no litigation involved in this case, as best I know?
Can you answer my question?
Well, no, I may instruct him not to answer. We're not supposed to go far afield of what the judge was talking about.
We're not going far afield.
Well, this case doesn't involve a litigation hold, unless, you can tell me it does.
Yeah, what the judge said is that I can ask about what documents were contained in City of Tucson's files.
Right.
Okay, so I'm asked, so documents that were contained in City of Tucson's file.
Can you ask him about the files he maintained? That's fine.
Yes, but I'm also asking him if concerning legal holds, since that responsibility, and if he, for instance, participated in a legal hold, that might be a document that was contained in the City of Tucson's files.
It wouldn't be in this case because there was no litigation in this case. So there wouldn't be any legal hold in this case.
Would you take a look at page 2 where it mentions legal hold?
Mm-hmm.
And it's defined as administrative action taken by the custodians to prevent destruction of all records related to pending and anticipated litigation. So Was you aware of whether you or anyone else placed a legal hold and where there was an attempt to prevent the destruction of records following Ms. Cruz's request?
I'm going to object, and I'll instruct her not to answer that, but if you can establish foundation that anybody anticipated litigation issue.
Okay. Let me ask you also the same question concerning the request from the Arizona. Were there any efforts made that you're aware of to hold documents and to prevent their destruction in anticipation of possible litigation following the request?
And I will instruct him not to answer unless there's any indication there was anticipation or pending litigation.
Um,
Can I get the?
Would you agree that all government employees, all City of Tucson employees, are required to be the record managers of their emails?
Objections to
record,
foundation.
you know what record managers means? What is that? How do you define that term?
Well, what the question is you do know what a legal record is in Arizona. You're not a public record.
Objection to foundation. Answer if you can.
A public record?
Yeah.
You're asking the legal definition of that.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I mean, records that, I understand that most of the things that we deal with as public employees are open to the public under Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah, and you understand that your emails and your business are public record.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and you understand that you're responsible for the manager of your emails and preserving those public records in accordance to legal requirements.
I don't know if I understand the term manager, what that means.
Well, that means you're the person that would have responsibility that your emails comply with Arizona law and City of Tucson procedures concerning emails.
Okay.
Do you understand that would be the case?
Objection is foundation. And the accuracy of the implication of the question. There is no Arizona law applying to what emails are.
But can you answer my question, please?
What? Can we
Yeah, I ask you a question and I'm waiting for an answer.
can you please repeat the question?
Would you please repeat the question?
The last question was, do you understand that that would be the case? Do you know the one before that?
Yes.
Question, well, that means yourself, the person that would have responsibility that your emails comply with Arizona law and City of Tucson procedures concerning emails. Answer, okay. Question, do you understand that that would be the case?
I understand that my emails are open to, and my notebooks and my notes are open public record.
Yeah.
I understand that. Oh, that's what you're asking.
No, I'm asking additionally, do you understand that you have as a public employee the responsibility to maintain your records, including your emails, in conformance with Arizona law?
I'm not aware of the provisions of that. I don't know if that means I don't understand the specifics of that law. I don't have to keep an email for 25 years. So there are certain provisions of that which I'm not aware of.
Okay.
If you're asking if somebody is asked for that, pertaining to a case, I know that I'm not supposed to destroy that, that's something that's, I'm supposed to be turning over.
Oh,
Is that what you're asking?
no, my question is, do you understand that you are required to follow Arizona law required concerning the preservation of public records that you possess?
I instruct him not to answer because he has already answered the question to the best of his ability, and you're asking to extend beyond that for legal interpretations. So move on.
Did Dennis McLaughlin ever tell you that you are required to preserve the public records in your possession?
He told me that anything relating to this case is now, it's been a public records request, anything I have that relates to this case needs to be turned over to the requester.
Would you, that the emails and the retention of records, including email, is based on the content of the email?
Can you read that back?
Could you restate that question? Follow.
If you receive an email at work,
Yep.
and would you agree that obligation to retain it is based on the content or the intent of the email?
I'm going to object because it asks for a legal conclusion.
Would you answer the question?
I'm supposed to answer?
No, don't answer. I'll instruct you not to.
You might at the office receive an email from a personal friend that says, I'm going to meet you for lunch somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And do you understand that if that's a personal email, that record, you may not be required to divulge that?
I'm not sure that that's the case.
Okay. Maybe you didn't.
Okay.
Do you understand that if you receive an email in your office related to your office functions, that that's a public record and that you're required to follow state law concerning that email?
Object to this line of questioning because the state law, first of all, doesn't necessarily require him to preserve any email. Even on city business, he can delete it immediately. And so you're really asking him what state law is. You can't answer that, so I'm going to instruct him not to answer. You can ask him what he understands about when he should preserve emails.
What's your understanding of when you should preserve emails?
As I stated a few minutes ago, when there's a public records request, I know at that point, everything I have related to that topic, in written form and in electronic form, can be turned over to the requester through whatever city channels we have.
Okay. Well, what if you have email related to a task you're performing and there's a public record request? What's your obligation concerning retaining that email?
I don't think it's an obligation.
You think you can just delete it?
If someone sends me, if a Camila Bacat sends me an email, a project I'm working on, I can delete that email.
Do you agree that, or do you understand that if an attachment comes with the email, that the attachment is also a public record and you must keep the email and the attachment together?
I'm
If
going to
there's
object. It calls for a legal conclusion. Depends what the attachment is.
Would you answer the question?
Go ahead.
If there's been a public records request, the email and all attachments are something we cannot destroy. We need to turn those over.
What my question relates to is, without a public record request,
Yes.
whether in retaining records that would enable public to know what's going on with your job? Are you aware that there are state of Arizona public records laws that require that you retain certain records?
I'm going to instruct him not to answer. There's no such law.
When, in this case, have you printed out certain emails to turn over to the city attorney's office?
I don't believe I did. I thought, I think Dennis did that. Dennis McLaughlin. I don't recall doing that. I may have, but I don't recall doing that.
Did anyone, okay, so any of your emails, you've had no role in those being printed out?
I don't recall. I believe those usually get done through the information technology department. They do searches.
In you, I think you testified earlier that you met with Mr. McLaughlin several times concerning records. Is that?
That is accurate, yes, many times.
And when did you first meet with Mr. McLaughlin?
I don't recall the date.
Can you recall the month?
No, I cannot.
You had testified, I think, earlier on behalf of the city that you had been asked immediately to turn over papers and documents and electronic files.
Correct.
Do you recall that?
Yes, Dennis informed me to do that.
And that would have been immediately following what? When you said immediate, what were you referring to?
I can't remember the order of things, but I think we got a public records request, and then I think Dennis. Well, actually, I think what happened was Dennis came down while I was on vacation and got the thumb drive from Camila, who had copied the shared drive.
Yeah.
Turned that over to him.
Yeah.
Then I think he came down after I got back from vacation and asked me what I had.
Okay. And you got back on vacation the week following May 17th, would that be correct?
Trying to determine that. It looks that way from these records, but I'm not sure why the date was changed from the 24th to the 17th. I don't recall that.
Did you give Mr. McLaughlin your hard copies of your paper files?
Yes. Over the economic analysis, the information from Trio, and that was available. He had access, he made copies of items in the files that we had. So,
Was that immediately following this request?
I believe so.
And did, when you physically handed Mr. McLaughlin your paper files?
At one point I did. He had been down several times, double checking to make sure he had everything. And he came down again saying, I want to make sure I have everything, let's go through your file again. We went through, I think I had 2 files at the time. We went through them, he had 99% of what was in there. Said, if you'd like to have these, I think I had 2 mail folders, if you'd like to have these, you can have them, and I gave them to him.
Gave him, well, after you gave Mr. McLaughlin your folders, did he return them to you?
No.
Those folders? No?
No.
You had testified at one point that you sat down with Mr. McLaughlin and compared your hard copy folder with his copy of your folder.
Okay.
Do you recall testifying to that?
Sounds accurate.
Yeah. So how were you able to compare your hard copy folder with his copy of your hard copy folder and get your hard copy folder back?
Did it before I turned it over to him. So he'd come down. I'd met with Dennis many times. He kept coming down, asking, ensuring that he had all the information. And what would happen was he'd sit down and he'd say, let's go through what you have again. I want to make sure I have everything that you have. And I'd open the file and he said, yes, I have that. You have this. Yes, I have that. Yes, I have this. At some point, we'd done that many, many times. At some point, he said, I know I've done this 100 times. I have something. Thank you. He said, no, I keep doing this, but I need to go over it again. I want to make sure you turned over everything. Let's go through your file again, make sure I have everything. I said, fine. We sat down. I said, you have this, you have this. Yes, 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 yes. I said, well, why don't you just take my files? You can take them with you. You can insure. You can make copies. You don't have to return them if you. I don't need this file anymore. We're not doing Grand Canyon anymore. You're free to have the files, and you don't have to keep coming down to my office.
Okay. So, would you agree then that
Excuse me.
you testified on
You got a
behalf?
page number? Yes. What you're looking at?
Yes, Mike, thank you. You behalf of the
Can
city
you
of
tell me the page number?
45.
And the line?
Do you mind if I ask the question?
If you're gonna quote from his deposition, I'd like to make sure you're quoting accurately.
That's
Is that
correct.
okay?
Yes. Mr. Cecilia, do you recall testifying on behalf of the city of Tucson on November 18th, 2013?
I recall testifying about this case.
Yeah. And if you, on page 45 of the deposition, to ask you if you recall these questions and if you gave these answers. Question starting in line 8. Okay, so at some date that you can't recall, when, prior to July 23, all documents in your file had been available to Mr. McLaughlin. Answer, absolutely yes. Do you recall that? And after July 23rd, you again met with Mr. McLaughlin with the same file to which no before on several occasions. Question, yeah. And do you know if anyone else in your office had a similar process? yes, I believe that they did.
Well, no, wait, there was a separate question. Did Mr. McLaughlin look in the files or talk to people in your office? Yes, I believe you talked to other people.
Right. Thank you.
Anytime.
And going back to page 42, starting at line 12. Question by Mr. Risner. I had understood that you said Mr. McLaughlin came down and told you that there was another request for additional information. Answer. Well, I believe it was more of, is there more of a double check? Did we give him everything? Is there anything else that we have? Have we not turned over everything to them? Quote, do you have anything else? Answer, yeah. Or question, yeah. Answer, that was the nature of the conversation. Answer, went over the contents of my folder.
Wait. No, the answer was that was the nature of the conversation.
Question, did you have anything else?
Okay.
Answer, I went over the contents of my folder I had done previously. We went over it document by document, and he would say, yes, I have this. Yes, that doesn't seem relevant or whatever. We went through document by document. Do you recall those questions and those answers on that
Yes.
date?
I think that's what I just, 2 minutes ago.
Okay. So then you, at that point in time, had your folder in your possession, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you, document by document, went over that, and Mr. McLaughlin had documents in his possession,
Yes.
that's right? And,
Or he thought they weren't relevant. I think that's what that says.
okay, so is it your testimony that after comparing the two hard copy folders and confirming that he had everything that you had, that he then took your file that you had just confirmed was identical to his file?
I don't think they were actually identical. There may have been something that he thought was not relevant that he may not have collected before.
Okay. But nonetheless, he took your file, having determined that he had everything relevant. He also irrelevant part with your file, and then at that point had both.
Correct.
Did he ever return any of that to you?
No, he did not.
Do you know when that was in the time period?
I can't recall the date, no.
It would be, would it not, at least after July 23rd?
That would make sense.
And just for the record, it appears to me that your questions on 42 are referring to prior to July 23. So there were two different times, and that you confused the two different answers.
Okay. So,
Okay.
yeah, so what your attorney is saying is that what I want to clear up, which the record doesn't say, is that this time when you're going over document by document to make sure that everything's there, and he took that file.
At some point, he took the files, correct?
Is that prior to July 23rd, you know?
I don't recall the date.
Okay.
I did, obviously, once he took the folders and did not return them, I didn't do that with him anymore because I had no file to do that. Does
So,
that make sense?
yeah, but then on page 45, you do talk that you agreed with him with the same file and confirm what was in it after July 23rd.
I'm not, it's hard to follow your reading, I'm not able to read it, but we, as I testified, we met many, many times going over the folder. At some point, I said, why don't you take the folders, you can keep these, I don't need these anymore, and we don't have to keep going over the file. After that, I didn't have those meetings anymore because I had no physical files to go over with him.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah, if I'd understood what Mr. McCrory was concerned about, was that this document by document review occurred, it would seem, in the context of your answers prior to July 23,
No, I think it occurred several times.
several times. Okay. Several times. And at some point,
Or at least more than one. I don't know, you can ask.
and at that point, after several times of confirming they were identical, Mr. McLaughlin took all of them and you don't have any remaining, correct?
They weren't identical, there was some irrelevant stuff that he was in my file that he took.
Sure.
At that point, I had no more files. on
Okay.
Grand Canyon.
And did Mr. McLaughlin tell you why he wanted to take into his possession your hard copy folder and your file after he had confirmed that he had a copy of everything relevant already?
It was my suggestion, not his request. And I said, why don't you take the folders, I have nothing here physical on Grand Canyon. We don't have to meet anymore unless you want to. We don't have to meet about my folder anymore. You're free to take it, you can make copies, you can keep it. I don't need them anymore. And he took them with him.
Do you know if he met several times with other people in the office to confirm that what he had was identical to what they had?
I don't know what other meetings Dennis had. I don't know what,
Okay, so the answer is you don't know if,
I don't keep Dennis' calendar, I have no idea who he met.
okay, let's take a break.
Time is 3:57, and we're going off the record. The time is 4:06, we're back on the.
Did your file contain your notes of various meetings?
It contains some notes, I believe, from some meetings.
And take a look at Exhibit 21. This was an email from Albert Elias to you and to Nicole and Gavin on the 13th of February, 2013. Are you aware of what was Nicole's role in this process relating to, this email relating to the El Rio site? Why would she have been receiving that in addition to you?
Again, her title is assistant to the city manager, so she works for the city manager directly. She keeps apprised of issues that are of concern to the city manager.
she was she working with monitoring the El Rio site negotiations during all this period of time? From February through, it was May?
Was she monitoring it?
Yeah.
She was aware of some details and not other details.
When, within your group system, would people have their individual notes, or would they take notes that they would keep in their individual files?
Are you referring to the group-wise system?
Yeah,
The computer system, not his group that he worked with.
I'm talking about the various individuals that were working on the El Rio GCU Situate project.
Yeah, the group he worked with, not group-wise. That's our technical software program.
So I think I understand. So people would probably have their own individual files, and there may be some notes that would be included in the electronic share drive. Maybe if someone typed up their notes, it would be there. I'm not sure if anyone did that, but it could be in both places.
But otherwise, it would be in their individual files.
Correct.
Have you seen, did Marcella Solis at meetings take notes? Do you see her taking notes?
I can't recall whether she took notes or not.
How about Nicole, do you recall?
I can't recall whether she took notes.
Kelly, gotcha.
I don't know if she took notes.
Do you know on how many occasions Liz Miller participated in meetings?
I don't think she was participating in any meetings. She knew, I think, Judy McDermott from First Tee.
Oh,
So we met with Judy, and Liz told Judy we were going to call her to set up a time to meet. So that was Liz's involvement. And Kelly and I went and met with her.
the administrative directives are policies that city employees, including yourself, are required to follow.
Correct.
To be correct. And the city has administrative directives related to disposition of real estate, correct?
I believe we do.
Yeah. And in the development of the proposal for the disposition of El Rio, those administrative directives weren't followed.
I'm instructing you not to answer that. It's got nothing to do with finding files, and is not true. I'm instructing you not to answer.
Were there any, do you have any, were there any, created any written records related to discussions about whether the administrative directives relating to real estate were required to be followed?
Yes. Well, there were no, Mr. Martinez, our real estate director, explained to us in one meeting, here are the rules regarding disposition of city property. He went through what's required.
Yeah. So, was there a discussion then that you weren't required to follow those procedures?
That's not true. He said we're required to follow the city mayor and council's policy and procedures regarding disposition of city property.
Well, the offer contained that was sent to Grand Canyon contradicted the city procedures concerning disposition of real estate, did it not?
I'm gonna instruct him not to answer. You just wanna argue your position, and this isn't the place for that.
No, I'm not trying to argue my position. What I'm trying to find out is whether or not there are written records related to that, because, you know, just related to that point. Are you
Well, no,
aware?
I'll instruct him not to answer, because your predicate is that there was a violation of rules or regulations. You can ask him what files were created about compliance with administrative directives if you want to, but you can't precede it with your own position and have him assume that that's true, when it's not.
Okay. Let me take a break if you want.
The time is 4:16, we're going off the record. Okay, the time is 4:26, and we're back on the record.
And just about at the end of the 90 minutes.
The, yeah, Mr. Castellanos, would you take a look at number 22? I just want to understand a couple things about it. One is, at the top, there's a date of 1/22/2013, Chris Caselemis project study. Was that something that was contained in your hard copy folder?
It may have been, or may not, I'm not positive.
Do I understand correctly that at the top, it would indicate that you had printed that on that date?
It was printed on this date. I'm not sure I printed it, but this email was printed from my emails. Yes, on this date.
Okay. And the same thing on 4/29/2013?
On Exhibit 23?
Yeah.
Correct.
And
So these may have been printed from the IT department or from my computer. It doesn't say where they were printed from, but they are to me and printed on that date.
okay, so someone else could print something from your email with that date on the top?
Maybe the IT department can. I don't think any other employee can, but the IT department may be able to do that.
Okay, but you don't know if they can?
I assume they probably could, but I don't know.
Okay, but the presumption would be that these were printed from your computer. Wouldn't that be right?
They're emails to me printed on these dates. And again, I don't know if I printed them or if they were printed by the IT department.
Would there be any reason for the IT department to be printing emails?
As part of their public records requests, they helped gather information.
Okay, so this is on, the first one, for instance, is January 22, 2013. That's
Yeah.
prior to any public record request.
Okay,
Would
so
you agree?
That's correct. So that's most likely would be me printing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And take a look at 24.
Okay.
And this one, if, when I explain this, you see where it says 5/17/2013, Chris Kaselemis, City of Tucson, meeting docs?
Yep.
See that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The top part of that is something that I believe Ms. Pacheco typed in that's not part of the original document, and it just turns out I don't have a clean copy for the
Okay.
computer, nor that top part. This do you recall a meeting at City Hall, I believe it was on February 6th of 2014, where Dennis McLaughlin, Mike Rankin, various city officials were present, talking with Cecilia, Cruz, myself, Tina Pacheco, about documents that Ms. Cruz was seeking in this case?
I'm not aware of that meeting. At City Hall?
No, in the conference room of the city attorney's office.
Was I there?
I believe you would.
With the, I don't recall.
I think he was there, wasn't
Am I allowed to tell him where he sat?
he?
Oh, yes, I remember. I sat against the far wall.
You sat on our side.
Did I? Okay. I
Yes, you made a
vaguely-
comment about,
vaguely
are we
remember.
taking sides, and you
If
came
you
and
say
sat
I'm
on
there,
our
I believe
side.
you. I won't dispute that.
Okay. There's this meeting of April 1, the City of Tucson Project Study meeting. Do you recall if you had notes in your file related to that
This is a
meeting?
totally different meeting you're talking about. This is
Yeah.
the one in the document.
Right, the April 1,
The
2013.
one you talked about at the conference room
There's nothing different.
had nothing to do with the question. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I recall this meeting. Yes, I did take notes to this meeting.
okay. And do you recall at that meeting on February 6th that that you were, Mr. McLaughlin, or one of them, asked you to provide answers to these various development questions, the notes from other folks. And take a look at the last page, and is that a response that,
So this is who I invited to the meeting.
okay, the last page are people that were invited to the meeting?
Correct.
Yeah. Were you asked to see if you could find notes from any of those folks who had attended that meeting?
I don't remember that.
But you remember that you had notes that came from that meeting?
I most likely took notes at this meeting.
Over 90 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, Can we have the bathroom break?
Nope.
Okay.
No, there's just, I think there's just one more. Do you have one more, or are we done? I would have a really quick, the high school. I don't usually document these. Not that one. From the first day. There we go, yes, that one. Are there any records? Are there any documents?
If you take a look at number 9, which was a study related to, I think, local Christian high schools. You know, if there was any other documents produced or a study based on that data.
So the question is, were there anything else related to Christian high schools?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
then we're done.
Thank you.
We will read,
Very good, thank you.
and I would like to copy. And the condensed report for
Good.
all three.
Okay, great, thank you.
Actually, can I get an electronic copy of that too?
Sure, yeah, condensed
same?
and electron. I think it's 10 cents a page more, but I can check on that.
Okay,
It's not
check on
very
it, let me
much,
know.
but.
Money's an object.
No, actually, money is a big
Oh, I
object.
see.
That money takes out of our salaries, I don't want that.
10-4-35,
Hey, how's it going, Mama?
deposition ends.
Give him 2
Good
copies.